The audio is connecting. Welcome, 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 welcome.
So welcome everybody. I think maybe we'll start, but I'll just I'm super honored to be with you all and be with Mashaun. He's got his leader hat on, and like many of you said, you're looking forward to learning from the leader, and it's a good time, and as always, to learn restorative justice. And we're really proud at 6018 to be working with Mashaun in any way we can to help us on the north side, connect with the south side, connect to everybody to restore this nation that is in deep, deep need of healing. And from its, even before it was the United States of America, we've done a lot of damage to a lot of people. And Mashaun's working on how to restore some of that damage and restore some healing. So we're looking forward to your participation and to Mashaun. So Mashaun, I think I'll let you take it from here.
Okay, thank you, Trish. Again, welcome you all. For anybody, I don't want to say anybody. I think Vicky, you are the only person who really knows like my style. For me, well, just be prepared to be engaged. The more you talk, the more I talk. I would like for the information that I have from the experiences that I've had, from the relationships that I'm grateful to have, from people who have more experience than myself. I can pull from that more effectively when we talk. All right, so like at any moment, just like hit me with a hand raise, and then it's about we can go from there. All right, there is an agenda that I have, and I am more than willing to step off of the agenda to ensure that we get what we would like to have. All right, so again, welcome. And the only person that I didn't get a chance to ask how did they come is Dev Mari, if I'm saying it right. So welcome. And what made you come today? You know, and if you just don't say nothing for about 3 seconds, I'm gonna take it as you not, you know what I'm saying, you don't want to.
Can you hear me? I'm sorry.
We can hear you, yeah.
Okay, it's Deb. It's Marie. I actually just saw a post, and I wanted to go to another meeting. I want to say maybe it was this that you all were having like in person. Anyway, I had wanted to link up with you. I had hit up, I don't know his real name, but Heavy a couple of weeks ago about linking and speaking on you all's mission anyway. So when I saw this, I'm like, let me just hop on this and check it out, see what's going on.
Okay, right on, right on. Well, welcome. I'm glad you decided to be here and that we're connecting this way. And I look forward to connecting, you know, after this as well. So
thank you.
Let's get started. All right. So we're going to begin with a reading, one that I have used for a while, and it's a great way to open up sharing space. All right. Let's take a deep breath, y'all. I don't know if you're driving or if you're at home, but like, let's take a deep breath on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Slow exhale. One more time, another deep inhale. Slow exhale. All right. It's about 5 paragraphs, so open your ears up. As we work together to restore hope to the future, we need to include a new and strange ally, our willingness to be disturbed, our willingness to have our beliefs and ideas challenged by what others think. We have to be willing to let go of our certainty and expect ourselves to be confused for a time. We weren't trained to admit we don't know. Most of us were taught to sound certain and confident, to state our opinions as if it were truth. We have also spent many years listening to others, mainly to determine whether we agree with them or not. It is difficult to give up our certainties, our positions, our beliefs, our explanations. These help define us. They lie at the heart of our personal identity. We don't have to let go of what we believe, but we do need to be curious about what someone else believes. We do need to acknowledge that others' way of interpreting the world might be essential to our survival. When so many interpretations are available, I can't understand why we would be satisfied with superficial conversations where we pretend to agree with one another. Lately, I've been listening for what surprises me. Noticing what surprises and disturbs me has been a very useful way to see invisible beliefs. My shock at your position exposes my own position. If I can see my beliefs and assumptions, I can decide whether I still value them. I hope you begin a conversation listening for what's new. Listen as best as you can for what's different, for what surprises you. See if this practice helps you learn something new. When we listen with less judgments, we always develop better relationships with each other. It's not differences that divide us, it's our judgments about each other that do. Curiosity is what we need now. Curiosity and good listening brings us back together. I know we do not have to agree with each other in order to think well together. There is no need for us to be joined at the head. We are joined by our human hearts. And that's that piece, y'all. Okay? So this here is willing to be disturbed. All right. You can Google it, you can find it. There's a longer version than the one that I just read. All right. So let's keep going. And then just like open yourself up, because it's going to be like deposit plus deposit plus deposit, and then it's going to connect. All right, at the end. All right, so my background, I have been practicing restorative justice for the last 10 years. Started with teaching in my own classroom. I was an economics teacher at alternative school. And the first 3 weeks, I was 24 at the time. My students were 17 to 22. So they were really like my peers. And the students rallied together beautifully to accomplish a goal, which was to get their original teacher to quit. And, you know, it worked. So I came into a classroom that was already unified, you know, and it wasn't, you know, to my benefit. But 3 weeks later, there was a bond with myself, with each student, and between the students as well. It was peaceful. After that, being independently contracted with Chicago Public Schools to work at different schools for time periods to introduce and teach restorative justice as an approach to classroom management, as well as accountability and growth. I don't like to say discipline no more. And then Chicago Police Department to create restorative policing strategies. And that was with the CAPS department, the Community Alternative policing strategy. It was not with beat officers. All right. And then with Cook County Court to establish a restorative justice community court in North Lawndale. All right. So that's my system involvement with restorative justice over the last 10 years. And then because restorative justice has been my lifestyle, how I show love to myself, just how I move through the world, I have been keeping circles with the people that I am around. So that's like in barbershops, at churches, in the garage with, my father and his friends with their race cars, on the block with the guys, sitting on the porch, at home. All right. So arguably, what I have done in my personal time has been more impactful within communities. I'll speak more to this as we go on. The work within the system has really been about changing the black and white. It didn't trickle down to human interactions. Like people was at work between 9 and 5, learning about restorative justice, but not really practicing it. But that's my professional background. Everything that I shared today will come from those experiences. I'm not gonna read a highlight from a book. All right. If I did not practice it, if I did not apply it, I'm not gonna share from it. All right. So know that. I do that, only share from my experiences because I trust myself, I respect myself, and I respect you all enough to be transparent and to be honest. And I truly plan to share myself, just to be vulnerable and open. Okay. Somebody say something. I feel like I've been talking for a long time. Even if it's just like a true, that's cool, right on. Just something.
You good, man.
Yeah, I love what you shared.
Okay.
I love the piece from willing to be disturbed.
Okay, right on.
And I think it's nice that you speak from your experiences too. I like how you put that.
Okay, right on. Appreciate you all.
And just well, I was just also in the piece it talking about like curiosity and listening. I think he said curiosity and listening can bring us together. I really like that. But anywho, yeah, go ahead.
Right on, right on. Thank you. And welcome, Sarah. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy that you're here. So far, everyone has answered the question. I see you in the chat, so I'm gonna open my little chat box up. Everyone has answered the question, what brought you to this session today? Feel free to tell us or just type it in, open and listening. Thank you, Mashaun. Right on. And just welcome too. If you would like to let us know what brought you in, feel free to go right ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I have myself on mute because I didn't know I was coming in late. I didn't want to. So yeah, much respect. So I just got the invite through Trisha Van Eck through the 6018 North, and I'm just here to learn and just be here. Yeah, thanks so much.
Okay, all right, right on, right on. So I have on the agenda, it says values. And what I would like to do is, I'm gonna minimize this chat box because I just can't see everybody. Is if we can all, unmute real quick or just in the chat box, I will open the chat box right back up. And I'll say a word and like you just say a word or type your word that comes to mind for you. And these will serve as like our intentions, our values for the next, 30 to 40 minutes that we're together, for the next, the time that we're together, just to help set some intention. So the first word would be respect. What one word comes to mind for you that you would like to set as an intention or a value for the next, few moments that we're going to be together? And for me, mine would be listening. I'm
Yeah, I
here
had
to,
listening in my spirit as well.
okay.
Honesty.
I had listening as well.
Okay. I have the chat box open too, so feel free to, put it in if you would like to, or just say it. Open-hearted, right on. What about you, Trish?
Thinking love, but I'm not feeling a lot of love, so I'm not sure.
Okay, well, love is cool. Cool, cool, cool. All right, we all said listening, so we might be sitting here silently looking at each other. No, I'm playing. I be making jokes, and it's weird to be joking right now, and I can't see, the human reactions. Dev, did you want to say yours?
I wanted to say something like absorbing, but I guess that's kind of like listening, but more so like really taking in, and I guess doing something with what you took in, I guess.
Okay, right on, absorb. Okay, well, we'll just go with those with those as our values. We won't do multiple words, but those are perfect. All right. So I am going to share my screen, and we are going to get into the philosophy of restorative justice. All right, I've said this before. This is a philosophy share. This is not a training. Do not get off of this and telling people you've been trained by Mashaun Hendricks, because this is inaccurate. All right, I am sharing information. All right, restorative justice has this philosophy of restorative justice people have made great attempts at practicing the philosophy based upon what they have experienced that they can attach it to. All right, restorative justice is to be practiced. All right, and we must practice the practice of being restorative. All right. So this philosophy share, having the intellectual understanding of it, does not give someone the ability to go be restorative. Okay. Watching Black films does not make you culturally competent to go teach students of color. All right. Okay. So history and then definition. To my knowledge, restorative justice has, and this, I'm saying restorative justice from the systems label of this practice. Restorative justice has been in schools since the late 80s. All right. Restorative justice in schools started off being peer conferencing, all right, peer jury, all right. And then it turned into what a lot of people know as peace circles. All right. So in the mid 90s, and Vicky, we have had this conversation before. You have put me on information that I did not know, which has allowed my ability to teach and practice restorative justice to go up a lot. But in the mid 90s, some of us may remember the tragic incident of Columbine. All right, a school shooting. All right. At the time, there was a response where adults were fearing children. And the term that was coined was child predators. All right, that children can just do anything at any moment, and we need to have systems in place, policies in place to prevent this from happening again. All right, and that looked differently in different communities. All right, in some communities, it looked like more social services. All right, it looked like therapists. not only for the students, but for their parents, not only for the students and the parents, but for the teachers, for the community, all right? In other communities, it looked like metal detectors at the front door and the back door. It looked like surveillance cameras being in hallways and in classrooms, synchronizing, linking the security guards, walkie-talkies with the local police force. All right, so 2 different approaches for 2 different communities to bring about safety and preventing another Columbine. All right, helping the child predators not harm other people. All right, so the schools that receive the police in the building, the police presence, the metal detectors, the zero tolerance policies, those schools experience this this term that's coined now as the school to prison pipeline. All right. Again, to my knowledge, the school to prison pipeline, this punitive approach to safety, this punitive approach to minimizing the chances of child predators causing more harm, to my knowledge, it was only in communities of color. All right. I don't know if it was in other communities and it's just like a whole school to prison pipeline of, students that are not of color, which sounds weird, but like white kids, I don't know. All right. It might have taken place. And again, I don't know any research that says that has taken place. All right. So what people were beginning to see was there was a number of first-time offenders in the juvenile detention center. All right. In Chicago, the juvenile detention center was filled to capacity. And again, a large portion were first-time offenders, nonviolent offenses, and the arrest was made at the school. All right. So this is right when young Mashaun Ali Hendricks was beginning to volunteer, and I was being trained by practitioners who would bring me into different places, and I was able to make impact that way. So that's where restorative justice touched down first in the system. All right, CPS. And then it moved into the juvenile detention center with reentry programs to reduce recidivism. And then most recently, again, with the police and then the RJCC. So that's like the system history. Screen share time right now, we're gonna get into the definitions and then we're gonna begin to compare the 2, all right? How we doing, y'all? It's like a little.
Good.
I'm good.
We're good?
Yep.
All right. Here, word up. So I'm about to share my screen and I was on my website. I was going to show you all some pictures. But I'm not. All right, can we all see this?
Show us the pictures later.
Okay, I will show the pictures later, right on. All right, can you all see?
Yeah, I can see.
All right, right on. All right, so restorative justice. Now, I don't like to define restorative justice, and we need to. All right, so.
Why don't you like to define it?
Okay, good question. Good question. So, defining restorative justice gives people this ability to say, oh, I know what restorative justice is. Like putting the lifestyle, because it is not a 9 to 5. It's not something to do at work and then go back to a punitive approach to being. All right. Like, it's like saying, oh no, I know what love is because someone's defined it and you're able to intellectualize it and say it in regurgitate your understanding in your own words. It is an experience, okay? As Vicky stated, like I'm not saying this to you, Ms. Rivers, as if you don't know. I'm just explaining myself from what I've seen. I've seen people read it and be like, oh yeah, I do this already, and go right back to their classrooms and are not relational, you know? So defining restorative justice is a slippery slope back to an old way, unproductive way of being. And because I care, and it has always been more than a paycheck for me, I've noticed that when I don't define it as a trainer, as a trusted source of information, when I just model it, people have a more of a feeling of it than an intellectual understanding of it. It's like being in love versus reading a love story. You know? So that's why it's risky. Like this person is getting ready to join us right now. They're gonna get here just in time for the definition of it. And what we've done so far to build a relationship, they may not be, you know what I'm saying? They you know, we just built some relationship intentionally, you know. That's why I am a bit hesitant to define this way of being.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was just curious.
Okay, right on, right on.
Mm-hmm.
All right, welcome CC. Okay, so restorative justice, a philosophy that emphasizes repairing the harm caused by wrongdoing. We're gonna hop straight down to number one. We're not about to read that. We're gonna pick this pace up a whole bit, okay? And what's funny, I thought about turning this into a classroom and saying like, who's gonna read paragraph number one? But we're not. I'll read it, okay? Y'all not laughing at my jokes, man.
I'm laughing.
Okay, good
I'm
looking. Y'all gotta
laughing.
unmute your phone, man. Unmute your man. I'm trying to make some jokes. All right, here we go. So as I read these definitions, be prepared to tell me what stands out to you. All right, restorative justice is a process to involve, to the extent possible, those who have a stake in a specific offense, and to collectively identify and address harms, needs, and obligations in order to heal and make things as right as possible. All right, so what words or word groups stood out to you in those?
Can you
And
put it back up?
yeah, I'm gonna put them back up. So like, let me know what stood out to you, please. Only for definition one.
What stands out most for me is make things as right as possible.
Okay.
You know, a lot of times when we thinking about when we have done something, like if I throw a ball through a window, right? My apology isn't going to unbreak that window, right? That damage is done. And we have to, and so when we think about sort of that process, is like some things we can't fix. We can't bring people back. We can't, untraumatize a person that we've, traumatized with our behavior. What we can do is we can be accountable and like, okay, and have that conversation with that person. What do you need from me in relationship to this situation?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So like you restorative over there already, brother. Okay. Okay. Right on. Let's go to the next definition. And so that group of words has always stood out to me too. To the extent possible, I believe that our ability to heal is based upon our own wholeness. All right, because the amount of grace, like what it takes for one to be whole or to be on a journey of wholeness, from my experience, requires grace and gratitude and forgiveness. And that's never something that's a complete box checked. That is a continual practice.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And doing that for yourself will allow, doing that for myself has allowed me to extend grace for people. And grace has always kept the door cracked a bit for everything that you said, accountability, right? Which is the way to wholeness again, So you're not practicing self-care, self-love, forgiveness, and gratitude, with yourself, you know, dead end at the harm, you know. So right on, brother. All right, screen share time again. Welcome, Elizabeth. All right, definition, quote unquote, definition number 2. And for everyone that's just getting here, these are a group of words to help us just have some understanding of this practice. Number 2, restorative justice in communities is a set of practices and values that build community and relationships, holistically prevents and repairs harm, resulting in a positive, supportive climate. Restorative justice in communities is a set of practices and values that build community and relationships, holistically prevents and repairs harm, resulting in a positive, supportive climate. What words stood out to you all, if any? Any words stood out?
Supportive.
Supportive, okay. Why you say supportive? You muted, by the way, if you was gonna continue.
Oh, sorry. I said supportive because it's to be able to heal. It's always good to surround yourself with a supportive climate. So that's why I said I love that word. I love support is so important. So yeah, that's why it stuck out to me.
Right on, right on. Okay. Sarah, I just seen that you said it's a practice. I love that because we never stop practicing. We never stop practicing. Again, practicing the practice. Right on.
Thank you. Hey, I wanted to also say building I think it was building community, the words in that number 2 that I really stood out to me. Yeah. Like, and I
Okay.
love this supportive climate, thinking about building community in a supportive climate feels positive. Like it feels like, oh, that will create learning, like, or create the environment for this practice.
Mm-hmm. When I don't know if Vicky's still on here now, but when her and I used to work together, she was a principal at a school that I worked at, and it was blessed. It was such a blessing that she knew before we can transform the classrooms, we had to transform the entire school, and that started with administration and teachers. All right, so creating that supportive climate for the staff before we do it, and for the students, you know. So, all right, right on. We're gonna continue.
I was going to add to that.
Come on, go crazy.
I think of it too in terms of school, and we did a talking circle with some parents at my kids' school, and started out with like a safe space and a talking circle, and kind of going around and creating like a comfort and vulnerability before we were kind of mimicking what students would go through, and then to create this safe space before then kind of digging into the kind of the conflict or the subject that needed restoring.
Right on, right on. I think that is a when I do my trainings, I always talk about circles as a spiral, and the deeper you go is where we're able to be more impactful as it relates to transforming perspectives, which transforms like behavior and how we show up with each other. And we're gonna get to it a little bit. You know, and I've also said we can build relationships. We can resolve conflicts by building relationships. Like we can address a conflict by only building relationships, you know. And I used to do that. I had a client of mine that said, well, you never talked about what the main issue was. And I was like, because it's not for us too. They're gonna talk about it when they leave. It's their community. Like we work here. We work at the school, but they live together. We did enough because they're gonna talk about it when they get home. And tomorrow when they come back to school, watch it be resolved. And it happened because we got the parents together and they just didn't feel safe enough to talk about the root cause of it, which was something bigger, in front of the professionals. but we built enough relationship for them to see each other as humans and to not to be a dead end, you know. And they resolved it back at, you know, the apartment complex, and the next day it was over with. So like right on. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. I'm a little long-winded too, y'all, so feel free to just hit me with one of these, you know. All right, 3, at its core, restorative justice is a philosophy and approach to how we create communities of care, hospitality, and accompaniment, both to set a foundation for relationship building and also for how we respond if and when conflict or harm arises. Number 3, at its core, what words stand out to you all? Number 3, at its core, restorative justice is a philosophy and approach to how we create communities of care, hospitality, and accompaniment, both to set a foundation for relationship building, and also for how we respond if and when conflict or harm arise. Any words, phrases that stood out to you?
How we respond.
Go ahead.
How we respond, because I think that's what we were talking about in the very beginning, Ifalami, and like, how do we respond?
Mm-hmm. Right on, right on. Right on. I'm not even gonna add to that, Church. Right on. How we respond. We have a choice. We can be calm, we cannot be calm. We can be relational, we can be punitive. You know? Any other words stood out for anybody? If not, we're gonna keep it going. Let's keep it going. Number 4, restorative justice promotes values and principles that use inclusive, collaborative approaches for being in community. We're gonna get rid of the being in community. These approaches validate the experiences, expressions, and needs of everyone within the community, particularly those who have been most marginalized, oppressed, or harmed. These approaches allow us to act and respond in ways that are healing rather than alienating or coercive. Any words stand out to anyone? Restorative justice promotes values and principles that use inclusive, collaborative approaches for being in community. These approaches validate the experiences, expressions, and needs of everyone within the community, particularly those who have been most marginalized, oppressed, or harmed. These approaches allow us to act and respond in ways that are healing rather than alienating or coercive.
What stands out particularly for me here is the validation portion. When you have a situation, a lot of times you have a lot of different voices coming from a lot of different places, and everybody is sort of competing for time, competing for focus, you know, and competing for, you know, ultimately the redress in the situation. And one thing that I find really beautiful about that process is that collaborative approach that brings all of those to the fore so that we can understand the situation in a holistic fashion. And that allows us and everybody involved with the situation to see, you know, where the oppression factors in here, where the harm factors in here, you know, who is, you know, hurt or victimized by the behavior, by the situation, and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Beautiful, brother. Beautiful.
Yeah, I would second that, of the validation, and how there's like a moment where you need to repeat back the harm so that the person who's been harmed feels heard and seen, rather than just jumping right to defensiveness or quickly finding a solution. There's like a moment where you need to just validate and listen and hear and repeat and sit with it.
Mm-hmm. Take somebody's word, especially a child, the word of a child. Beautiful. All right, I'll put the definitions up one more time. We can take another look at it. Okay. for the third definition, that last line, when I say both to set a foundation for relationship building and also for how we respond if and when conflict or harm arises. All right, the little if that I was putting in between respond and when comes from my experiences. We can build relationships deep enough to remove harm and offenses. All right, we can build relate. We know this. I'm preaching to the choir. I'm getting to realize that we can build relationships deep enough that we become curious. All right, we can build relationships deep enough where our perspectives shift. All right, about unwanted behavior. All right, to the point where we don't even see it as a wrongdoing, a crime, a harm. We go straight to the, oh, this is an opportunity. Oh, this is a great opportunity for this lesson to be learned. Okay, cool. Cool, word up. All right. Any thoughts, any comments before we continue? All right,
All good.
all good. We're gonna zoom out a little bit. So this here, goals of restorative justice, relationships, all right? Again, we can prevent harm. We can prevent unwanted behaviors by building relationships, getting acquainted, building relationships, establishing values, all right? Relationships, 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 never not building and strengthening, all right? Skill building, all right? The skill of being in community, all right? Whether it's a classroom, it's a work environment, it's a home, all right? There are skills that are to be learned, that will be learned after building relationships of how to be in community, all right? And then accountability, all right? Accountability to the relationships, all right? And that produces a sense of safety and healing. In the training, I would say wholeness right in the middle, all right? Safety, healing, and wholeness, all right? When restorative justice is well, when there is an opportunity for a strengthened relationship, AKA an issue, all right, then it's accountability, strengthening the relationship through a new skill, if necessary, all right? These are a never-ending formula for a creative way to be back whole, all right? Back to safety, back to healing, all right? Any thoughts, any comments as it relates to this here, the goal of restorative justice?
I have a question. Could you talk a little bit more about conflict as an opportunity to strengthen a relationship?
Yeah, hell yeah, definitely. So in this next lab, we're gonna get to, we're gonna begin to compare the punitive and relationship-based approach, all right? So a punitive response to an issue is who did it? And what does the book say that the punishment is? All right, there is no opportunity for strengthened relationship. There's no talking that's going on, all right? And there's no chance. That punitive response, instead of relationship, is fear. Instead of accountability, is punishment. Instead of a skill being built, is being disconnected from the community. Okay, so your mess up is the dead end. All right, from a relationship-based approach, we've built enough relationship in our classroom, in our working, in our community, to the point where you are of importance to me. That's the secret. People aren't truly applying, people are not practicing restorative justice. So you can't be relational with someone you truly don't have a relationship with. You can't restore a relationship when there was never a relationship there in the beginning. So doing step 1, 2, and 3, all right, it's requiring me to go up some. This right here, getting acquainted, building relationship, values, and commitments. Doing 1, 2, and 3, you now, well, I don't want to say you, that's not how I talk. When I did 1, 2, and 3 with the people that I was in community with, I truly cared about these people, my students, it felt weird calling like professional students, especially when they were older than me. But the people I was working with, we had genuine relationships. All right. So when there was unwanted experiences, it was in all of our best interests, because I never seen them as something separate from me. All right. So knowing that you being disconnected from the community is not an option, what other option exists? Accountability, a new skill, and deepened relationships. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'm making it sound too simple. All right. But let me know how that's my response. Like, as a result of building true relationships through applying the restorative practice of circle keeping, all right, which is the experience that one must have in order to truly be relational. Like, that's the only way to really practice it. Right? If the relationships aren't there, you're not going to be I wouldn't be impacted by telling somebody to, like, man, suspend them, like, get them out the office.
Right.
Okay. It's like talk to me back. Let me know.
Like, no, that makes sense to me, because like I'm thinking, because where I'm attempting to sort of practice this, we have a lot of situation where people don't know each other very well. And then that becomes an issue that on the organizational side, we've got to do a better job of, right? Because where there's not that relationship, there then creeps in that opportunity to then assume the worst about that person, because you don't know that person well enough to have an understanding of what their intent is.
Come on. So that's where that was the reason that restorative justice did not completely transform Chicago's school district, CPS. All right, because this requires time. Like, the investment is time and energy. All right, that is what it requires. Arguably more time than that beautiful organization had to give. Okay, and on the back end of it, there's people talking in chapter point, laughing, keeping circling, it's just a useful starting point. It definitely is a useful starting point. Arguably the only place to start if you truly seek to have an environment that is healthy.
So relationship building is not often taught, because you're teaching, like, as a teacher, you're teaching students what you're told that they need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe a lot of people don't necessarily learn in school relationship building, or it's like, whoa, we don't have time.
Mm-hmm. So it is an art to, and I've witnessed it. It's beautiful for a principal to commit to his or her staff transforming from a punitive mindset to a relational mindset, right? And we opened up the school year with 4 days of PDs, and this is other paths, this is pre-virtual, 3 to 4 days of professional development. And this math teacher, who now fully understands the importance of relationship building, turn, like they put themselves in it. Like, oh, I'm about to build relationships through algebra, you know, or I'm about to build relationships through fitness or science. Like, and I have seen it, you know, but like people won't do it if they don't know the importance of it, because it's safe to assume that students should have been taught this at home. It's safe to assume that students are to come to school with all the boxes checked, you know, and yeah, I'm a zoom back this way some, okay? All right. We were here. So was your question answered? Brother, was that okay?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're good, we can continue?
Yeah, we good.
All right, all right. So let's go back to the slides. All right, these are the goals of restorative justice. All right, restore relationships. All right, and when I say restorative justice, think relationships. All right, accountability, skill building. All right, so this here, paradigm shift. Let's focus here for now. The punitive approach, punitive, punishment-based. All right, what rule was broken, who broke the rule, what punishment do they deserve? All right, the belief is that inappropriate behavior, it violates rules and authority. Violation creates a sense of guilt. Nobody wants to be guilty. All right, no one wants to take accountability for guilt. They're gonna, you know, seek to dodge it. Who decides what takes place? The authority, those at the top, those with the quote unquote power. The solution is to punish the guilty. All right, the central belief is that punishment and fear of future punishment is how we shift behavior. Like, I can scare you into acting differently. Is that an effective approach?
No, not in my experience.
No.
Absolutely not.
All right, right on. I agree. I think it creates better criminals. And I'm saying criminals just to use it, you know? It just teaches how not to get caught, right? The restorative approach, the relationship-based approach, there are no set of questions to maintaining relationships. All right, that was a like something that was lost in translation. Like people would get this intellectual understanding of restorative justice and then would be given a script. And again, you can't restore a relationship that has not been established. So these punitive minded teachers with good intentions, these punitive minded teachers who did not establish relationships with their students would get this restorative packet. And in the packet, it would say eye contact, remove the student, you know, from the classroom, talk softly, take a deep breath, and then ask these set of questions. And the humans who were just younger would not feel it being authentic. All right. And I think the teachers also felt that it even wasn't authentic. And I think that because they work depended on it, they just did it anyway. And because they was hoping it would work, but it wasn't because the relationship wasn't there. Saying all that to say, as I explain these of what restorative justice is, don't commit to these 3 questions, okay? All right. So they don't have to look like this, and this restorative response often looks like what happened, who was impacted and how, and whose obligation is it to repair the harm. All right, restorative justice does not have to be soft and quiet. I've seen some teachers that has been teaching, you know, since I was 6, and, you know, this sister was fully restorative and she was not quiet. And the students knew that she loved them, and, you know, she was getting to the bottom of the issues and resolving it relationship based. The belief here, inappropriate behavior, it violates people and relationships, not the rules and authority. Violation from a restorative-based approach, and I don't even like to use the word violation, but this unwanted issue, it creates, or this act of imbalance creates a sense of obligation, not guilt. Who decides what takes place from a relationship-based approach? All the people that were involved, all right? The person that was harmed, the person who caused the harm, and the community. All right, now when I say community, I'm not talking about just everybody, but those who are, in the close rings of the ripple of the issue. All right, the solution is to co-create a plan that repairs and prevents this harm, all right, from reoccurring. The belief is that building and strengthening relationships, all right, and creating a space to repair harm will stop misbehavior. All right, and like you said, Elizabeth, this space that we're creating, it celebrates vulnerability. It celebrates authenticity. Okay, what's your thoughts? What's your comments? How is this landing on people? Is this old news, new news, good news, bad news? What's up? COB, I keep thinking your hand is raised and I realize that's your picture.
It's funny. No, this is all good news. Yeah, it's just, I keep just thinking about the practice of it.
Mm-hmm. What comes to mind when you think of the practice of it?
I don't think that is widely practiced, and it would be interesting to see this widely practiced, and for people, like you said, to be patient with it. Like, it would be very interesting to see CPS be very patient with this, and truly implementing it and practicing it. And, do you think that could happen? Do you think it's still possible? Are you hopeful for that, or what do you think?
Yes, ma'am. I do think that, I have seen schools operate restoratively when the principal has a commitment to it and invest the time and effort over a period of time for his or her staff to not buy into it and to experience it and to model it too. And I used to always celebrate those in leadership positions who would lead with their vulnerability. All right, and that is what created this, because a lot of from my experience, it was a lot of tired teachers, and tired for good reason. All right, and restorative justice, again, it requires an authentic investment of yourself, which is a lot to ask someone to do, a whole lot. And if you don't, you're gonna leave work feeling drained, And on the other end of that authentic investment of yourself, man, other humans start showing up. We aren't the character that comes to work. We begin to be ourselves that come to work, And then the conversation changes, and then there's more empathy and grace, because now people know, people going through some real stuff, and then it's just, we're back human again. Like, we're softer, our hearts are softer, So yes, I have seen it. Do I think that it will continue to spread? Yes, because we're here, and we're practicing. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
What you thinking, Elizabeth?
I'm just thinking, like, in terms of CPS, how, if we're thinking like top down, how important it is to, or how each school is kind of its own silo, and some schools may be very successful and already implementing, but other schools may be overwhelmed or short-staffed, and other things are going on where this might not be, it might be on paper, but it's not being in action yet. And how we can work on this, as you're saying, like, rather than depending on it coming top down, and build it more into our daily life. Like, yes, even in the walls of my house, like how am I doing this practice with my kids, and then how modeling it for them to be using it in their relationships when things are back, we're back face to face with each other. But yeah, to kind of like take the power away from like more authority figures, like depending on them or like more structures to change, larger structures, and how we can do it more at a grassroots. And maybe you guys talked about this. I apologize for being late and missing the introduction, but yeah, this is great. Thank you very much.
Right on. So I didn't talk a lot about the space that I'm in right now, Trap House Chicago, a restorative justice for-profit business. All right. In the description of today, when we were putting it together, and it's still on there too, Trisha. It was saying to what's the language? To overturn a punitive system. And I think that is a byproduct of our intentions, and that language doesn't fully speak to our intentions. We are seeking to build a restorative justice system. All right, like the alternative. All right, and it's the alternative because that exists. All right, we have chosen, like, yes, we support those that dismantle. Come on, we're right there with you. And as a general, me and our troops, we're building a restorative structure. All right, because 10 years being in the system, like you hit it on the head, Elizabeth and Vicky, we know the black and white is changing. CPS code of conduct, super restorative. You look at CPS on paper, beautiful, it's restorative as ever. You walk into a classroom, you are at risk of, you know what I'm talking about? Like, it's not, okay?
It's not.
So, were you gonna go, Vicky?
No, you just literally read my mind. I was thinking about for the whole system to change in terms of CPS, the whole code of conduct would have to change, and there have been a whole lot of changes. And yes, you're correct. It looks very restorative on paper, but it is not utilized. And if you go into the average classroom, you don't see it at all. And then we wonder why in even remote instruction in the district, why there are 15,000 children missing now who have not logged in, who have not participated, because those systems or the culture of a restorative culture hasn't been built in the first place. In a restorative culture, it doesn't matter if you're instructing from the moon. Children are going to want to show up because they feel like they belong, they're heard, they're respected, that they can come to you for anything, that they're supportive, that you will support their healing and their needs and everything they need. It just doesn't exist, in my opinion, district-wide at all. There are islands of it, and even islands and in schools. So you may have one classroom who does it very well, and another classroom, the teacher's like, just get them out of here, take them out, kick them out, I can't take it. So it really, it kind of was like a trend almost when I was embracing it. It was it seemed like a trend. So I experienced it in a school as a principal, and the suspension rate went down from 60% to 5%. But when because I was only an interim principal, when I was replaced by a contracted principal, I still get phone calls to this day, and this was over 5 years ago, that the school has just gone down. It's back to where it was, as the suspensions are through the roof, so yeah.
Well said, and thank you. That's where we are. All right, we're gonna keep pushing. We got our brother up there yarning. Hey man, cut your camera off, man. If you're gonna be yarning, I'm playing, bro. I'm playing. All right, let's keep going. All right, so this here, and we're gonna begin to wrap up too. We're gonna hit this, that, and then, yep, all right. So this here is the restorative justice and peace circle process, all right? Let me say, peace circles are divine. I'm not even gonna say magical, they are divine, all right? And peace circles, my circle keeper training at the age of 24 was my rites of passage. All right. And it was the first time that it made my inner dialogue louder than external content. Like if I wasn't a herd member no more after my circle keeper training. And my circle keeper training, it didn't fully remove it. It allowed me to see myself past what I have been told about myself as a category, as a male, as my race, my age, as a child of my parents. Like it gave me a fresh possibility because I was able to see Mashaun. All right. So I grew up with the drag racer as a father, which means, our cars were high performance vehicles. And we would soup them up. All right. And there was this one addition to a motor that would turn your car into just like a beast. And it's called nitrous oxide. If anybody's seen Fast and the Furious, they called it NOS. You push the button, it's over with. Like you instantly win the race. All right. P circles is like nitrous oxide for building authentic relationships. Okay. All right. And from my experiences, it has made me permanently curious and permanently hopeful in humans. Vicky, before you go, glad you came, and I look forward to connecting and hearing from you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a blessed one.
All right, you too. I am not exaggerating. I might be understating the power of peace circles. All right. The practice illuminates, amplifies humanity. Gender, gone. Race, gone. Sexual orientation or identity, gone. Like the human is sitting there. All right, like the spirit is sitting there. It's beautiful. All right. All right. So we achieve what I just explained by one, getting acquainted. All right. I know these are just, some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5s. All right. And if we were to double click them and experience it, you will feel it in your heart. Get acquainted, lighthearted, prompts, questions, games that don't require any vulnerability outside of participation. And I've learned to keep the participation minimal, even if it's just, we're gonna go around and tap our toe. Our left foot, we're gonna tap it. And just keep tapping it. We're gonna go around and tap our right toe, tap it. And then, something super simple, and then you just started making a beat, and just to even get people to laugh or smile, you know what I'm saying? So like the least amount of participation, and then more and more and more and more and more. All right, especially if you're sitting with some people who have a history of trauma, and the only way to be out in public is to be hard, you're not about to get them to throw no toys around in a circle. All right, or you might. I wasn't able to. All right, so like a little toe tap. So I guess I could tap my toe, you know? So like building up, all right? Building relationship, these are prompts where, you know, some vulnerability, people are digging in a bag of life to answer these questions. All right, not too deep, but they at the top of the bag of life. We get to learn about each other and see some similarities. Values, it's over with. People are humans by now. All right, we get to talking about values. That there is a whole day. All right, in my classroom, getting acquainted was one whole week. Monday, we was toe tapping. Tuesday, we was lifting our arms. Wednesday, we was standing up. Thursday, we was throwing stuff. Friday, we was in a bit kicking it, okay? Building relationship was a whole other week, all right? By values, again, it's humans sitting there right now. Like people have shed tears talking about their values. Once we talk about the values, then we can move to commitments, all right? Other restorative justice trainers, they say values and expectations, all right? I don't do expectations because an unmet expectation, like, it's a slippery slope back to a punitive approach. But a commitment, you know, we're committed to it. If you mess up, don't trip because we're committed. We're gonna try again, all right? I'm gonna pick up the pace even more. Once we've done 1, 2, and 3, then we can teach our classroom, we can have a meeting, all right? We can share space. If and when there's an issue, we can discuss it, all right? We can take action, whether it's a business, whether it's for accountability and wholeness, all right? 1, 2, and 3 are like this. It's a cycle. We never stop. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know what I'm saying? Like we never stop getting acquainted, building a relationship, discussing our values, all right, as we share space, teach, and everything else. The punitive approach does not give two craps about 1, 2, or 3. The punitive approach goes straight to 4 and 5. Okay? The closest thing that a punitive-minded person would do as 1, 2, and 3 is day 1, I'm telling y'all the rules. Day 1, rules. Here's my name, rules. Let's begin. Okay? Why restorative justice? All right, what we used to do in classrooms with the professional developments, we know this already. You can see the top, you can't see the bottom, 20%, 80%. All right, what you can see is nothing compared to what you can't see. All right, we will have teachers vent what behaviors in your classroom gets on your nerve. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you write the most detentions for, suspension for? What do you put students out your classroom for the most? All right, underneath here, I will put 3 more lines underneath, okay? A line here, a line here, a line here. All right, this section would be class in at home, community, and history. So we would attach, we would double click being late, right? Or drugs, or gang involvement, or sex. All right, we would double click them and what circumstances and factors at home contributed to this behavior in the classroom. We'll double click that. What circumstances and factors in the community contributed to that circumstance in the home. And then we'll double click it even more. What circumstances and factors from history impacted the community, that impacted the home, that impacted your student in your classroom. Y'all follow what I'm saying? All right, so we would do that. 100% of the time, the teachers would start talking about the parents. All right, so we would make another iceberg and it would be up here. All right, well, let's talk about these parents. What are some behaviors of quote unquote bad parenting? And then they'll fill it out and then we'll go again. What circumstances and factors in this parent's home, all right, led to this behavior? What circumstances and factors in this parent's community led to their home, right? And then history, the same thing. Okay, y'all follow me? All right, so before we know it, we'll have an iceberg, and an iceberg, because it's the children, the parents, and the grandparents. Because the kid 8, the parent 29, the grandparent 49. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so it'd be 1, 2, 3. What that would do is it'd take the heat off of that student, because we'll see that student is the sum of all of the experiences. All right, it'll take the heat off of that parent, because we see that parent is the sum of all of those experiences. All right, and that will bring about some empathy, some curiosity, some compassion. All right, and then also that would allow us to say that, like, these children don't need sympathy, because look at what they are still doing, even with everything that they have been through and are going through. Okay, we're gonna keep going so we can wrap up. Trauma-informed, a strength-based approach, logical consequences versus punishment, responding versus reacting, positive youth, and human development. The rest of these are in my training, and we're not gonna keep going, but we know what trauma-informed is, processed and unprocessed trauma. So be careful when you're talking to your kids anyway, because you never know. Seriously, you never know. All right. Strength-based approach is, and I don't want to assume that we don't know what that is, but strength-based approach can be very fun. All right, seeing someone's behavior, forcing ourselves to see the positive and the opportunity in someone's behavior. One of your students is just yelling in the classroom, going, expressing themselves loudly. Like, man, you really know how to project your voice. Like, there's career options. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, choosing to see the positive. You know what I'm saying? Like, woo-wee, you know how to defend those that you love. You ever thought about being a lawyer? Things like that. All right. And I'm trying to move a little faster. Logical consequences versus punishment. You have to get out of our emotions. All right. That was the quickest way to move from a punishment to a logical consequence. Remove our emotions. And then we know what this is, reacting and responding. That's still emotional responses. And then positive youth and human development. That is an actual skill set to be trained and develop, like competencies. All right. Because there's things that as adults we do that are harmful and that potentially can be harmful, and we may not even be aware of it. All right, so that is the philosophy of restorative justice. We are in Trap House Chicago. We create streetwear that gets this information across to our consumers, as well as we create merchandise that speaks to a new realm of possibility as a restorative community. All right, that's why this shirt that I have on right now says build ours. All right, on the back it says, as we work to dismantle racist systems, it's important that we build our own, like build the new, build our new. All right, and one of our best-selling shirts has crime pays on it. On the back, it's a list of people and careers that really get paid. All right, let me pull some of these up for you. And then we're gonna go ahead and get off of here, see if there's any questions. I'm trying to get to another tab, and every time I go to it, all right, here we go. I wonder if I can move this. Cool. All right, so this is Trap House Chicago. This is, all right, here we go right here. You can see the front of this shirt. It says crime pays. Crime pays. And the back of this shirt, this is us out doing some community development work. The back of the shirt is a list of people and careers that really get paid. All right, our vision is a crime drought. All right, crime-free communities of color. All right, as a result of us doing what we need to do as a people. All right, not the system coming and doing anything. All right, we keep peace circles in here, in this space right here. We keep circles, all right? And up front is the retail space. Right now, I'm on 79th and Cottage. We have another location in Wicker Park on Division in Milwaukee, all right? I'll show you all the website real quick, and then I'll take any questions or comments. So We All Eat is our commitment to circulating dollars right back into the community. All right, We All Eat. All right, that's our mission and our vision. Crime drought. We believe in the power of affirmation, so no system formed against me shall prosper. We just recently did this collaboration with leaders. That's the quote that I was reading on the back. As we transform our nation from the bottom up, it is important to remember that dismantling racist system is one half of the task. We must simultaneously build the new, our new. Murder must stop. All right. $1 billion Band-Aid. We all know that CPD gets over $1 billion every year. They are a punitive approach and they are a Band-Aid to the issue. All right. The devil was a line as, B word, devil was a line as bitch. You see that sold out. Yeah, this right here is a history lesson, the COINTELPRO. On the sleeve, we talk about what exactly the counterintelligence project was, all right, and what it currently is. So yeah, that's everything right there, you all. It's 3:30, and I'm gonna close my mouth. And if there's any questions, bring them. And if not, Trisha, thank you.
Well, I just wanted to say real quick, man, I really appreciate you, putting in the time and effort to have this today. I really pulled some things that I could really begin to take back and be more of a factor in my community with regards to this content.
Thank you, brother. Glad you came today, and thank you for contributing to the conversation. And any way we can do something in the future about something, some circles, keep some circles, or have some discussion, I'm definitely open for it.
Thank you so much. I'd totally be up for a peace circle. A virtual one would be fun. And I just wanted to say that we met a while back at Expo. It was like the first day that it was starting, and I was looking for Trisha, I think. And you guys were still setting up, but you were just about to have a baby, I think.
That was 2 years ago, my brother.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I was pregnant, like very pregnant, and about to. I think you were due a month after me or something. Anyway, I hope it's going well. Nice to see you. Sorry for being late again.
Oh, you good? You good? We just celebrated a 2-year birthday, so yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right on.
What day is it?
November 12th. That black one.
12. Okay. Mine just turned 2 on the 8th.
Okay, right on.
Yeah.
Right on. So good to see you again too.
Yeah.
Yo, babies.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
And look forward to connecting.
Go ahead.
So this here is the work that is at 6018 North right now, the Justice Hotel. This is one of the banners that we use to start dialogue, marketing, as well as just like community engagement and asking a real question. All right, I'm here. So if there was no crime and violence in Black communities, who would suffer, who would be impacted? People say fuck the police all the time, all right? And it's one thing to say it with the tongue in your mouth. It's something else to say it with the tongue in your shoes, all right? And I think I would love just to see that. Like Ms. Rivers said earlier, like, can it take place? I think that it can. And I would love to see it in my lifetime. So yeah, being bold with messages like this, it has only served our mission. Some people don't want to print them, and some do. So yeah, that's what this is.
I had my phone went dead and I just hopped back on. Did you talk about the 250 mil? Or I don't know what's going on right now. I just saw you going through your website
Okay, so
Just was wondering if just a plug if you have if you
right,
haven't.
right on, right.
Yeah.
So we just launched the campaign for the crime drought. All right, $250 million that we are going to be circulating, not at one time. All right, and that is our financial goal to circulate locally. All right, to circulate with love-based businesses and love-based people. All right, so 2 years ago, myself and some of my fellow artists, we did a tour for the Centennial of the Red Summer Race Riots. Next year will be the Centennial of the Tulsa bombing. All right, and it just happened to be timely. And this is what we have been doing and what we would be doing if it wasn't. All right, so a Restore 79th Street project. Right now, there are over 230 unused retail spaces on 79th Street, all right, from State Street to the lake. There's over 20 unused retail spaces from our front door to 2 blocks west, all right? So the 250 million is an aggressive fundraising effort to restore, STORE 79th Street and other opportunity-rich blocks and communities of color on the south and west sides of Chicago. Yeah, that's what that is. I hope. Well, yeah, that's the answer to that question. And thank you for asking too.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Was this good, Dev? Was this okay, Marie?
Yeah, thank you so much. It was great.
Right on.
And so I got a question too, but for the 250 mil, for us to contribute to that, will we just donate or will we have, or is it we buy merch from you all? How can we actively contribute to the 250 mil to start these businesses on 79?
So right now it's buying merchandise. I'm saying right now and moving forward, it would be purchasing of merchandise. The merchandise that we have that's going to be coming out very soon is directly going to be speaking to the 250 million. The first product that we released were a set of hats that had the "We All Eat" with the 250 million on the side. All right. To spark the conversation, have the conversation, share the campaign. All right. There are 2 businesses that we have been discussing with community members, and one has we just got the LLC back about a month ago, and we are beginning to pick the work back up of making the menu for this new space. And then the fundraising merchandise will be produced, shot, and then pre-sold to those who would like to support and see this business open. And then that's going to be the model that we continue with to open up more businesses, acquire more real estate, and make impact, So yes, purchasing merch. And for like donations, we have a fiscal sponsor that we partner with, the Art of Culture. So for people who would like to make donations, are welcome. Thank you. That's like a real question for clarity.
What is that website to donate? Or Sarah?
TrapHouseChicago.us, just under the about information.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to see this transformation, see it all come to life.
As am I. I'm grateful and responsible. Sarah, I too want to be in circle every day. I be in circle with myself. I'm not gonna lie, not like talking to myself, but being with myself.
There's nothing wrong with talking to yourself.
That's true. All right. Any more thoughts, questions, comments? And I'm checking the check-in.
I have one more. When's the next time you're doing something that would be the next step for people here?
Okay, so the next step that came to my mind immediately was join our email list on our website, or just follow us on Instagram, Trap House Chicago. We communicate everything there. And we are in the process of shifting our hours at both stores for the fall, and just with the advisory that came out Monday. We postponed releasing our fall circle schedule just to make sure that we are being safe with everything that we're doing. And right now it'd be to follow us. So when we do make the announcement, that people will be aware, because we are going to continue sitting in circle. It's just not going to be the size that we had at first. It's not going to be 12 people. It's probably going to be like 4, maybe 5, you know, and doing like 2 sessions a week, doing circle series, and yeah, that's pretty much going to be it for now, you know. And then making online content where people can see online, see on social media, on our Instagram and YouTube. So, but in-person activations, we're still deciding that right now.
We all are. So this was meant to be in person. So thank you all for being, actually being, because even though we're separate, everybody was here.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you all for continuing this work and for doing the difficult, and Mashaun making it look easy.
Thank you, Trish, for the kind words. Okay, we wrapped up, Trish? All right, one more time. Any questions, any comments? All right, so let's repeat after me so we can close our circle, close our session. We're gonna, if you, or just type with me, I'll type it. So repeat and type with me. This is a poem from one of my most influential people in my life. Me. I'm trusting y'all. So I'm trusting you all said it. Me.
Me.
We.
We.
All right. Muhammad Ali said that. All right. With that, we're closed, you all. Thank you for being here today. And I look forward to seeing you all again.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, you all. Peace.
Thank you.